ओके जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। क्या हाल है सबके? होप यू आर ऑल safe. Um, uh, so we'll be starting these online lectures, inshallah, from today, and I will be recording some lectures here from my home, and some of these lectures will be online live sessions. I will let you know in Google Classroom which of these sessions will be live and interactive and which will be recorded. I will send you a link every time this happens. Don't worry about them. Let's talk about the topics that we have covered in the last couple of weeks online by sending those links that I've sent you to watch. So we actually covered the family influence, I believe, um, on consumption patterns and all of these stuff. We covered that in our regular classroom in our university, and then the next topic was group influence, and that we could not discuss because the classrooms were suspended. So let's start on that. I've sent you some videos, and let's just I'll discuss the things with you so that they are clear, and then you can do the assignment as well. So, what is a group? When we say the word group, a group means any um, more than an individual. More than one person is a group. But that group can be a family or it can be a non-family. Or and that group can be related directly by some means, or they can be not related, which means if there is a certain group that is made temporary on the basis of some common thing, but they are not related, maybe they don't even know each other. For example, the people in watching a cricket match in a stadium, they don't necessarily know each other, but they are still a group. They are all rooting for the same team or some. Uh, the difference between a group and a crowd, the word crowd, is that a crowd doesn't really have a direction. A group always has a direction, which means they have something common, they have a certain interest, they want to do something, they take certain actions, they have some common interests, and that makes them a group. In a crowd, that's not so. So that's group. But how does that group influence an individual's consumption patterns or consumer behavior, or when or how or what that person will buy? We have to look into that. So first, we have to understand that a group exists when there are two or more people together. If they are assigned to be together, for example, in a team, in an office, or a group that is made in a university to do certain tasks, then they are assigned, and that's called a formed group. If they are not assigned to each other, they are there by their own will, they just want to be together. For example, uh, a hobby that is common with people. You are in a group of people who likes to play football, who likes to go to movies, who likes to watch Netflix. So these are all informal because these are not assigned. The group, the members are not assigned to these groups. Then we have groups that we can categorize these groups according to how much they interact with each other. So we can say that there are two types of groups on the basis of interaction. The closer group that is closer to you, you meet them every day. For example, your office co-workers or your colleagues in the university, or any of those people who you meet on a regular basis, day-to-day basis. They are the primary group because they influence you on a daily basis on what you are doing and what you are not doing. The other group, that is the larger circle that you have, which means distant cousins, your old schoolmates, uh, or people that you meet um, not regularly but just once in a while, they are the secondary groups. The secondary group may also include those people that you have never actually met in person. For example, you belong to your school of thought belongs to a certain religious party or a political party. Then that the people in that group who also root for the same party are your secondary group, even though you haven't met them. So secondary group is the larger circle where there are more people in that group, but they are not bonded as strongly with you as the primary group is, which has a difference on a different impact on the consumption patterns. For example, if you get a call from a friend who is who you meet daily, maybe your office coworker, and you are at home, and that person asks what's going on, how are you? You might tell them you are having a bad day, or you have an assignment coming up, or you are not feeling well, or what's going on television. You can talk about those things because you talk about those things on a regular basis, what you are eating, what you are doing. But if a certain call comes from your schoolmate who you last talked to about 10 years ago, and if that person asks, how are you? You won't tell him that I am not feeling well and I have an assignment coming up or those things. Instead, you will be talking about, yes, I'm fine, everything is great, I am in this university, I'm in this office, and all of that thing. So the difference in the call, the conversation tells you that there is a difference in the relation between the secondary group and the primary group members. Similarly, when you are asked, when you think of going to lunch in your office, then the choices of your coworkers does impact you because you eat with them daily. So if they are having fast food, then you are very likely to have fast food as well. But if you are with a secondary group, which means, for example, you are at a stadium and there's a crowd, the group is there, you are also saying that uh, Karachi Kings will win, and then those people say that we want to have something to eat, but you are not necessarily going to go along with those people because they are not really your friends. So the things that are day to day are more impacted by the primary group. Next, we have what is called our reference group. Now, what's a reference group? A reference group is a type of a group that you refer to, which means that whenever you have something in mind, you want to buy something, you want to do something, then you refer to that group, and you get some kind of confidence, or you get some information, or you get just an assurance that your decision is right. So that reference group is very important in our day-to-day decisions, or any of our decisions, even larger decisions. For example, which university to enroll in, which job to join in, or which person to marry. So all of these decisions are larger decisions, and they still have we see people that have gone through similar stages, and their opinions impact us. So the reference group is there. There are many kinds of reference groups. For example, we have the aspiration reference group. The aspiration reference group is a group that you aspire to be with. Aspire is a word that means that you want to be that person. You want to be just like those people. Inspire is another word. Inspire means to be inspired with, means to see somebody and to get inspiration that I want to do thing like the way they are doing. For example, if I see a doctor working very hard these times, then I am inspired and I also do my work as a teacher with as um, very hard. So that will be inspiration. But aspiration would be to watch a doctor and then want to become a doctor as well. So that's aspiration. Aspiration reference group is the kind of group that you want to be like. For example, a religious group is a typical example of an aspiration reference group. If you are a Muslim, then whenever there is when your identity as a Muslim is at the front of whatever is going on. For example, you are going for prayers, then it is highly likely that you would want to wear the same clothing that everybody else will be wearing, because you would want to aspire to be with the same group. Similarly, you are going to a conference and there are many business professionals there. So uh, you want to be seen just like them. So you dress up in the same way because they are your aspiration reference group. So that's the aspiration. The aspiration reference group affects everything. What clothes we buy, what food we eat, where we are buying anything, how we are buying anything. Let's take an example. You're going to a stadium to watch a match between Pakistan and Australia. So the question is, what color of shirt should you choose to wear? Now, the one simple answer would be a green shirt. But if you don't have a green shirt and you don't want to wear a green t-shirt for any reason, then you can wear any other shirt. You can do that. But in order to be more connected to the people who are going there, you would want to wear a green shirt. That's what it's called aspiration reference. If you are very close to that group and they are all wearing green shirts, then even if you don't want to wear that shirt, still you would go ahead and do it. That is aspiration reference. The flip side of aspiration reference is the secondary reference. I'm sorry, the dissociative reference. The dissociative reference group is the opposite of aspiration reference. In this group, people do not want to be a part of a certain group, which means there is a certain group that I do not want to be a part of. For example, let's take the same example, the stadium. You are going to watch a match in a stadium where the match is between Pakistan and India. So you are going there and you think that I can wear any color of shirt of any color that I want. But you can actually wear anything except blue, right? So you can wear anything except blue. Because if you wear blue, it means you are going against Pakistan. So if you want to be aspirant with the group, you would wear green. If you want to be away from the other ones, that you will not wear something. So dissociative reference groups actually tell us what not to do, what not to wear, what not to have. What we say in a religion, that the halal and haram. So haram part of the edibles are actually the dissociative reference. That's what differentiates between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. So it's a dissociative reference group. So we have these two main reference groups that tells us how these things are. And then we have the group. There is a certain concept in group called group cohesion. I think I've sent you a video on that as well. Group cohesion is how these groups are interact with each other, how close they are with each other, how gelled they are with each other, and if that makes an impact. Yes, it does. Whenever a group is closer to each other, then they actually adopt each other's habits. If somebody is, especially the leader's habits. So if there is a certain group that you join, and for example, there is an office that you go to, and that office opens at 9 o'clock, and everybody is there at 9. And then you work for a year, and then you switch to another job, which is maybe a software house, and it opens at 11, and everybody comes at 11 and stays late till 9. That's somehow their culture. So slowly, for the first week, you will be very uneasy. You will wake up at 7 o'clock, and then you will see what to do, because the office doesn't open up till 11. But then slowly, in about week's time, you will also do the same thing. You will actually become part of that culture. So when the group cohesion is there, then everybody, even if their habits are not aligned with that group, still slowly they seep into the group's culture and become one with it. So that's called group cohesion, and that also actually also helps the group to align its objectives. Uh, I don't know if you've studied that. There are the formation of group. There are four stages of a group formation. The first one is forming, and then storming, and then norming and performing. Once a group is formed, then the first thing that happens, you must have experienced it in your office, in the university groups, and everywhere. Once it is formed, the first thing that happens is a conflict. Who gets to be the leader? Is the leader really working? Are the people really working? Are they really, the real leader really deserve to be the leader? Is he good, bad? Whatever is happening, there is a conflict. How to do things, what to do, when to do, where to meet, there is a conflict in everything. And then people start to fight with each other. And then there are arbitrators who try to resolve these fights. And then slowly and slowly, then these fights actually let the group come close to each other. And then after this storming phase of fighting with each other, they finally uh, get together, start, and then they become friends. That's the norming phase, which means they become uh, acquainted, they become friends, they become close, and then they start to work. And that's the performing stage. So in every um, the important part in a group, in the studies of group, is that but how these groups are have an impact on on not just the day to day, but over the course of life, how these groups change. These groups are not just permanent groups. You don't just go into a group and you are there forever. No, the group exists until uh, there is some activity. If there is no activity, the groups dissolve. There's no announcement that the group is dissolved. Slowly the group is dissolved. You are in a school. You have your friends. There are the exams of the metric exams, and then you go your way. You meet your friends first. You met all your friends in the whole year. You met them daily, and then you start to meet them once in a week, and then once in a month, and then once in a year, and slowly that group dissolves. Another group forms. So some of these groups are permanent, which means, for example, your religion, the group of your religion is quite permanent. You remain in the same religion throughout your life mostly. your nationality, that group remains permanent. But most groups are formed and then they dissolve. There are some groups that are temporary, that they are absolutely temporary. They are just there for a few minutes, even sometimes. People going on the same way on a road, and the people coming from the other side, if they have a conflict with each other, they are fighting with each other, then the whole group of people on the same side, they become a group. They are with each other for those few minutes, as temporary as few minutes to as long as your whole life. These groups can exist in at all times. So these groups are there, and then we have uh, these groups form, and then they have a degree of influence on them. The degree of influence means that they don't have the same influence on everybody. For example, there is a group that you refer to. There is a reference group of yours that consists of computer geeks. They are all computer uh, fans. They are all talking about whatever is going on in the computer world, new technologies, everything. So you decide to buy a new laptop, and when you think of buying a new laptop, and you think which laptop should I buy, you don't go to your best friend who doesn't know anything about laptops. Instead, you would go to a person who knows about laptops, a group that knows about laptops, about technology. So you refer to that group when you want to buy something, especially a thing like technology. So that reference group becomes a source of information for you. So the degree of influence of that group for you is informational, which means that you only refer to that group if you want some information. You are not friends with that group. You don't just go out and have dinner with those guys all the time. You don't spend your time on the phone with them. You just refer to them only when you need some information. That's called informational influence, which means only when information is required, then you refer to a certain group. But sometimes you get closer to that group than only the informational influence, which means that you become closer as friends, which, for example, you are in a classroom in a enrolled in a course in a university. In the first week, you just see whoever is enrolled, and whenever you want to ask something, you refer to that group, that whatever lecture was made, if there was a quiz, if there is an assignment, you refer to that group for information. They're not your friends, but maybe one in a month's time, in 2 months time, you get to know those people, you become friends with them, you join a group with them, and then whenever they are or to the canteen to have tea, you go along. Whenever they are sitting down to have a group study, then you are part of that group, then you go along, which means that the group has the influence of something that is called a normative influence, which means you have joined the norms of that group. Norms are what? How people behave normally in a situation, how people usually do things. That's the norm. The norm of the group is something that they do usually. If you join them in that norm, it means that the group has a normative influence on you now, just not the informational influence. So you become closer to them. maybe in that group remains with you not just for this one course but for many other courses. The next time you are taking a course, you refer to them which course you are taking. I'm going to take the same course because we are the same group, and you join them again in another course, and then this friendship becomes stronger and stronger, and in about 2 years time people know you from that group. If there is one person in that group going anywhere, people know that there is a certain group. These are four people who just remain with each other all the time, and they are easily identified as a group. So when you start doing things in the same way that everybody is doing, and your actions become the identity of the group, and the actions of the group become the identity of your actions, they become the same, then we can say that the influence is now at the level of identification. So it's identification influence. So there are 3 degrees of influence. Firstly, the uh, the weakest bond between an individual and a group is the informational influence, and then when it becomes stronger, it becomes normative influence, and after that, it becomes the identification influence. We have these different influences, and which helps us to understand how close an individual is to that, and how close that person is actually tells how much that group will impact them. Now, what we are trying to do here is to identify how these things work, because we would want groups to be more impactful on individuals. Why would we want that? Because as marketers, we would want groups to actually be on our side selling stuff to individuals. Selling means we actually introduce the usage of products and services in the norms of groups, and whoever comes from outside in that group follows those norms and becomes a part of that group, and hence uses those products and services as well, even if that person individually in the individual decision making process did not opt for that product, still because it was part of the group, that person went with it or with it on a regular basis. So that's the importance of group influence. We use that. Let's take an example for this. Let's say there is a group of people who like to go shopping. So what we do is that we take a person who seems to be the leader of the group, who says where we are going to go shopping. And then we take that person and we say that if you come to our shop, if you come to our brand and buy these products, if you refer somebody else to us, then you get a certain discount on our additional products that you want to buy for next time, or maybe. So similarly, um, when there is any other, for example, let's say a fast food joint. There is a fast food joint who says who says to the opinion leaders. We'll talk about opinion leaders later. That if you want to come to our restaurant, then we will actually help you. We will give you certain discounts whenever you have a group coming of more than 5 people. So that person is actually forced to find 5 people to come with that person so that he or she gets a discount. That's how it works. So we see here that we have learned about group influence. The next point, the next topic, group influence, is what are the factors that affect group influence. I'll be sharing that with you, inshallah, in about a day or two. For that, we have at least you have a 30 minutes video right now so that you can see it and you can work on the assignment while doing that. If you have any queries, please go ahead and ask me on Google Classroom, but be sure to submit your assignment on time because that is very crucial in these times. Stay safe or stay happy and enjoy your days at home. Okay, thank you. Allah Hafiz.